You want to know what's one of the most challenging things when you become a man who starts to strive for your goals and your ambitions in life? You oftentimes realize that you may have to compromise. Why is that? Because you're getting pulled in two different directions. On your left, you have going towards the path where you can make the most money, where you can get the most notoriety, the most network connections, so you can live and build this external lifestyle. And then you, on your right side, you have the things that you love, your purpose, your mission, your vision, the things that give you happiness and joy and that burning desire within you. And you're wondering if you can balance the two out because you feel like you're gonna get pulled in one direction or the other. Well, in today's video, I'm gonna explain the importance of you having balance in these areas so that way you can have a good lifestyle while also enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. So we're gonna get into the video. Make sure you guys like this video to help support this channel. And also, if you're new and you watch this video and this is exactly what you need, make sure you guys subscribe. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what's going on, you guys? If you don't know me, my name is PTK, aka Pawn to a King, where I show young men who are living the lifestyle of a pawn, where they're being misused, mistreated, abused, and exploited for the gain of other people. They don't have a mission, they don't have a vision and a purpose in life, and I give them the skills, the knowledge, the tools, the resources, and most importantly, the mindset, so that way they can live the life of a king, where they're in full control of their life. They know what they want, they know where they're going, and they're able to build and customize a lifestyle that gives them happiness, freedom, and enjoyment in life. And this video is no different. I want you guys to really focus on this because I like to call this the authentic, ambitious man's paradox, because this is something that I've dealt with. This is something that a lot of people that I know, or people who have been on this road to success, they oftentimes deal with. When you understand the people who are successful in life, and when you look at the things that they do, in your mind, it's not fun. It's oftentimes things like wholesaling, it's things like product distribution, it's things like sales. If you guys don't know this, sales is one of the main degrees that you can make a 6 or 7 figure income without a degree. And this is actually the path that I ended up going down. So essentially, when guys are on this path and they're starting to pick what they want to do in life, they pursue these jobs where they feel that they're guaranteed to live a higher level lifestyle. You know, people talk about becoming a doctor, becoming a surgeon, an engineer. Essentially, they go into these fields, and as they're starting to learn the field and they're starting to go into that work environment, they quickly start to realize that this shit is boring as hell. Or if it's not boring, it's just very monotonous. They don't enjoy it. And what they quickly start to realize is that they're literally gonna have to force themselves through 4 years of college, 8 years of college, you know, whatever it is. If you go into trade school, you're gonna have to grind and go through hell in order to finally get your certificate and go into your job. But one thing that a lot of these people realize is that
once they get into that job, it didn't change.
Just because you got your certificate, you start to run your own practice, a lot of times you start to hate what it is you're doing. Example, me, when I got into sales after I dropped out of college, initially I was very excited because I wanted to prove people wrong. People were telling me that I couldn't make it out of college, I couldn't get on that right path. And essentially what they were doing is they were adding fuel to my fire, because I was trying to show them like, hey, I can actually do this. Hey, I can actually make money. Hey, I can actually get it on my own. And are you noticing all these things, these motivations, where did they come from? Did they come from in here? Did they come from right here in my heart? Or did they come from the people around me? So essentially, these were all external factors. They were the validation. They were getting money. Also at that time, I wanted to make sure that I had my weight up. So, you know, I was going to the gym, but I wasn't necessarily doing it for myself, but for other people so I could get beautiful women. So essentially, I was living a lifestyle that was 80 to 90% focused on external reward. But also at the same time, I had a burning passion to do what I'm doing right now, where I'm speaking to you, where you can literally hear it in my voice. I know y'all hear it in my voice. I know you see how passionate and how excited I am to be able to speak on how I can help men improve in life, because this is something that's very, very dear to my heart. And this is called an intrinsic reward. This is something that's internal. This is something that regardless of what's stripped around you, hypothetically, let's say you had a business and you loved it and you lost all the money, you lost all the stock, you lost all the prestige and the awards, would you still be willing to do that? Would you still love it, or would you hate it? That's something that's internal, because essentially a lot of times what guys do when they're starting, they're
only focused on the money.
Because we live in a society where people tell you to only focus on the money. And I'm not one of these dudes. I'm not one of these 10 half-foil dudes who say that money is evil. Look, Money is a tool. It even says it in the Bible that money is a defense. And when you look at people who have money compared to people who don't have money, life is still a bitch to both of them. But it's easier for you to deal with the struggles in life when you have money. There's nothing wrong with money. There's also nothing wrong with having a beautiful woman who actually loves and cares for you. There's also nothing wrong with having followers or whatever. But my point is that the things that are external can first and foremost be taken away. And second of all, not everything that glitters is gold. So when you're going after things that are external and they're not of anything of substance that are related to you, or the motivations for it can be taken with a bat of a win or whatever it may be, oftentimes you live a very volatile lifestyle. I'll paint a picture. Let's say hypothetically you have a CEO. He's been a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and this dude makes a lot of money. When I'm saying he make a lot of money, he probably got a Jaguar that he drive on the weekend. He got a Porsche that he drive to the office. He has a nice luxury apartment. Let's say he lives in New York City. He's making $500,000 a year. So when he wakes up, he constantly has to go out and be motivated, make sure he got a limited amount of time. So he's waking up, he has to eat his breakfast on the go. He can't really just sit down and enjoy life. And then he goes to the office, say, "Hey, Bill, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh, hey, Marty." He's like, "I can't be here." And he goes into his office. He has a lot of different managers and corporate meetings that he has to go into, and he goes through the thing, and he's very driven and very ambitious. He's very well spoken. He puts on the mask and he can go out there and he can just speak, because this is something that is his element. He's built himself up to be this person. But the thing is, he's around people who oftentimes are shallow. He can't actually talk to them and explain to them what are his true passions, what are his true desires. He can't talk shit, that's for damn sure, because he might be canceled next week if he said a curse word to Miranda and she felt that
he was offending her.
So essentially, guys like this, when they're in that CEO or that Fortune 500, or even if you're a dude and you're just very, very business and money driven, because there are such limited time in the day, you constantly have to motivate yourself and get more out of yourself. And you're like a machine, you're like a robot, you're like an android. So essentially, you have to program your mind to do things. But what it oftentimes does is it saps the joy out of life. It saps the joy out of life. It saps the fulfillment and the passion that you have in life. And that's why when you have guys who have all this money, but let's say hypothetically you're a rapper or a singer, and you're talking about how you're having depressing thoughts, and people be like,
How can you be depressed? You got $3 million. You got any bad woman you can get. You have all the fame and fortune.
Because all the shit that glitters in life is not gold. A lot of the great things that you might have, even when it comes to your friends or your business connections, when you're in an environment where you live the life and you pursue the external things, you do not have people who really care for you. They might care for you when you bring in the money or you got the connections, but do they really care about you? Let's say hypothetically myself, do they really care about PTK's life story? Do they really care about PTK's integrity or PTK's creative thought? They don't give a damn. They're only focused on how you can allow them to make more money or get more improvement. And there's nothing wrong with that from a business setting, but there's so much more to life than that. And that's why a lot of times when these guys are at these positions, what do? They get addicted to drugs. They get addicted to coke. They start to go into all these deprived lifestyles because they're trying to find a void inside from the external world. And that never works like that. You have to find that passion or whatever is inside of you, and it has to be able to exude around the people around you, the life around you, the women around you. If you decide to have kids, your children around you. And that's what can allow you to have true joy and happiness. That's the reason why there are guys where they're barely getting by, but because they love what they do, regardless of the external circumstances, they can still find joy and happiness in life. And that's why it's very important for you guys, if you're deciding where you want to go in your life or what type of life path that you have, that you don't only focus on the external. And that's why a lot of guys, once they graduate college and they have a great paying job, they're still searching, they're still wondering, because they never tapped into this. But they might have done it when they were a younger kid and they saw the joy that it had, but in the back of their mind they're like, well, I guess this is all life is really has to offer for me. But they don't understand that you can have both. Now let's go on the opposite side of the spectrum. Let's talk about the guy who's 100% intrinsic. He loves his purpose. He loves what he does. He has a great passion for life and things like that. but he doesn't have much of the external. So essentially, when you're a guy and you're in this place, like you might be a rapper, you've been rapping for 5-10 years and you really care about what you want to do, but you're not willing to compromise by following TikTok trends or following degenerate behavior. Or let's say hypothetically you're a basketball player and you love basketball and you were good, but you weren't good enough to make it to the NBA, my guy. Or you weren't good enough to make it into Europe. Or because you had a certain personality, you didn't fit a corporate mold, or you weren't a part of different politics for what it is that you wanted to do. You essentially decided to be independent and have your own thing. These guys are probably gonna be extremely happy and extremely full of life. That's also another reason why guys like this are good with women, because there's something about them that when a woman is not focused on all the resources that you can give her, when she's just enjoying that time and she's happy with you, she loves to be around you. This guy is full of life. But the thing that you need to understand is that because so many people are externally driven, this guy oftentimes lacks a lot of the external validation. Because when you look at the guy in the office, he got all these different connects. He got the family saying, oh, look at my son. His parents like, look at my son. But when you have the guy who's fully focused on his internal happiness, he doesn't really have that many people around him. A lot of people around him may see him as an average dude who's just focusing on a pipe dream that's never gonna come into fruition. And what you notice with guys like this is that they don't have the love of other people that compared to when you focus on the external stuff. So sometimes this guy, he might feel isolated, he might feel alone. But the biggest thing is that when you're focused on the internal, it's very rare that you can do what you love to do and make enough money to make a substantial living. Why do you think when guys start their own company, 90 to 95% of them say, I gave up this great position, I gave up this great job to do what I wanted to do? Because in a perfect world, you could do what you wanted to do and then tomorrow get paid an equal amount of value for it. But again, we live in a society that's focused and driven off of money. It's driven off of power. It's driven off prestige. It's driven off of status. So you might be a guy who gets big on YouTube, or you might be a guy who becomes a streamer and you pop off, but everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to become a basketball player. And ultimately, if you're not in that top upper echelon, 90% of the time, you're not gonna make great money doing it. So essentially, when you're this guy, what happens is that you have a lot of joy, but you're always compensating and trying to figure out ways to make money. You know, sometimes you might be behind when it comes to saving. You may not have a sturdy financial foundation. And oftentimes, even though you love what you do and you can go into your passion and just block out all the external noise, typically what happens is that you have to find other ways to do your passion. Like example, me. I'm doing this coaching thing. It's not 100% niche to where I want it to be at, but because I love it, I do it in my free time, but it's not really making me any money. So obviously what I do is that I compensate by having a job that pays the bills. But oftentimes the job that pays the bills, it conflicts with what I'm trying to do because I'm trying to pour more into this, but I have to put that as a priority and then work around it. A lot of people, they have a side hustle. And don't get me wrong, side hustles can be great. You can add extra money, but when you have a true passion, it's like your baby. You just want to be around your baby, but because you got to go to work, what do you do with the baby? You give it to the babysitter, you put it on a back burner so you can put your big boy pants on and make money in whatever it is you're trying to do. So oftentimes the guy who's focused on the intrinsic, he oftentimes struggles when it comes to finances, when it comes to, you know, having a network of people around him that have resources and gain, and, you know, it's like a reciprocal energy. And that's why a lot of times these guys struggle. So now I know what y'all thinking. Like, okay, man, so you just told me the external, you told me the internal. What's the point of this video? The point of this video is that you need to find balance. Again, I'm gonna bring up the scriptures because I believe in the word. One of the things, Proverbs 11:1, it says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. And basically what that's talking about is money. But from a greater scheme, it's talking about how you need to have balance in your life. So if you're a young guy, you know, let's say you got your trade school, whatever it is you want to do. Essentially, what my best advice could be to you is try to add elements of external with your internal happiness. Do not go into a career as a man that you
literally hate,
where you would rather have somebody put
pliers to your cojones
compared to you staying in that job for 40 years. Because I promise you, on the back end, you are going to hate it. You are better off trying to look and survey and see something that you truly enjoy and going towards that. You don't gotta be a rapper. You don't gotta be on YouTube. You don't gotta be a famous dancer or whatever, a famous gamer or whatever it may be. But if you find something that can actually pay you well, that you actually enjoy, and you can find a vision for what you want to do with it, you can find that balance. And look, I can't tell you what that is. You guys know yourself better than I know you. Just like I know myself better than any of y'all combined think you know me. So my point is that you need to be able to find both. And also, this is going to be based off of your personality. I know a lot of guys who can go and do a business or a corporation that they do not like, because they have such extrinsic motivation to want to get money and put themselves in a certain position because they're just very, very driven. Now, don't get it wrong, I'm driven as well, but I'm not somebody who can stay and do something based off of the external solely for a very, very long period of time. What I oftentimes notice with myself is I get very burnt out. I get very tired. I start to lose focus on it, and I start to go towards something else because I'm trying to seek out that validation that I'm looking for inside that you can only get from your purpose. So based off of your personality, you may be a guy who loves what you do and you can't go into something to only make money, or you might be a guy who's a little bit more willing to, get down and dirty and do the dirty work for something that you don't care as much, but makes you the money. So you have to be able to tell or gauge it based off of your personality. I'm more towards the intrinsic. Some people are more towards the extrinsic. What you need to do is you need to get elements of both. Again, balance. The key term of this video is going to be balance. You need to go and evaluate which careers actually make good money, and you need to evaluate what you like to do and also what you're good at doing. And once you get this list, you want to be able to search. You can go on ChatGPT, you can write it down yourself, do a Google search, and you can look and see which professions pay you the best and which professions you actually like to do, and you need to set a plan and you need to focus on doing that. If you already have something that gets you the money, keep doing that, keep it on autopilot. But what I would highly suggest is that you start to shift. Once you feel you're a bit stable as a man, you got your place, you got whatever it is, you know where you want to go, you're financially stable, etc., you're disciplined. And essentially, you can start to shift and you can go into something that you actually enjoy, but can still allow you to provide for yourself. Because if you don't do this, you're going to have two scenarios. You're gonna have one scenario where you're playing the lottery at 30, 40 years old, hoping you can make it. And look, there is a possibility that you can make it. But I'm talking about you guys who understand that what you wanna do, it might be morally wrong. You don't wanna become a rapper because it's too degenerate. You don't wanna do certain things because it takes you away from your family, your home, or the lifestyle that you want. You don't wanna fall into that position because you're gonna look back and you're gonna have a lot of great moments and memories. But when you get older, your life is gonna be very, very, very hard to live. And you also don't want to be the guy who's all logical, because you're going to be a
walking flesh and blood android.
And a lot of these guys, when they're 40s and their 50s, they hit a midlife crisis. They hate their life. They're pulling their hair out of their head. I've seen guys do this. I was in sales. I've seen guys make a lot of money and they look like they fucking hate their life because they got into something that they didn't enjoy so they could live this grandiose lifestyle. I remember when I was new to sales, this is my first year doing door to door, right after I dropped out of college. I remember I went to this guy, had a house on the hills back when I was still living in California. I'm talking about this dude had a mansion. The neighbors was at least 500 yards away. Dude had a mansion, he had a gate, and I'm talking to him. And he's up there, he's doing his thing, right? I think he's like a CEO of a big company. I don't know exactly what it was. But every time I went to his house, this dude looked like this. This dude literally looked like he was drained every single time I saw him. And that showed me from a quick and a young age that just because he was successful doesn't mean he was fulfilled and happy in his life. So I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope you guys got a good understanding and a gauge on the external and the internal. You guys need to have a mixture of both, and make sure you guys cater it based off of your personality, your life experience, and what you want in this world. So anyways, man, you guys make sure you like this video, comment down below your thoughts and opinions on it, and let me know if you're more of an external or an internal guy when it comes to your lifestyle. And lastly, make sure you guys subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one, man. Peace.